Hey, welcome to the guide. I'm Yo. That's Stevo.
That's right.
Just when I get used to doing that, Will's going to be
Will's
back.
going to be coming back, yeah.
Today I've got a couple things that we're going to go over. We're going all green today with Green Lantern Rise of the Manhunters. Now, this is one of those rare video game movie tie-in things that actually wasn't terrible.
Dun, dun, dun. It's absolutely astounding to me how a video game movie never works out.
Yeah, and yet this time the tie-in to the movie Green Lantern, it was fun. It was basic, but it was fun. Okay, let me back up. It's not the greatest video game ever. You pretty much do the same thing throughout the entire game.
Right.
But all you're doing is you're blowing up Manhunter robots in this game, and you're using Green Lantern constructs to do that. And there's some cool ones, and that's what makes it fun. You can do like a mech. You make a mech that you can punch guys and stomp on them. You got like the Gatling gun that they showed in the movie.
Right.
So you got tons of little constructs that you can use to blow up.
How is the variety? Like just like a lot?
There's a great variety of constructs to use, and that's what keeps it fun because you're constantly using different constructs as you basically fight the same guys over and over again. Right. It reminded me a lot of The Force Unleashed 2.
Ooh.
So like, that wasn't a great game, but if you enjoyed lightsabers and slicing up stormtroopers, then you'd have fun with it.
All right.
That's what this one is a lot, very similar to. However, that's pretty much all you do. I mean, there's a few flying levels which are nice to break up the variety. A couple boss fights that are very God of War. They're huge, and you do quick time events to fight them. So overall, you're just doing the same thing over and over. It's a button masher.
Okay.
It has a drop-in co-op play, so someone can play Sinestro anytime. They can drop in.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and that makes it more fun.
Yeah.
So simple but fun.
All right.
There are a few bugs. It's not great graphically, but it was enjoyable. I had a good time. And what more do you want from a video game, especially if it's a tie-in to a movie?
Right.
So I would give Green Lantern Rise of the Manhunters a 4 out of 7. It was a perfectly average video game that I enjoyed in short spurts. If you play it too long, you realize you're doing the same thing over and over and over again. But it's that rare movie video game tie-in that isn't terrible.
Which I guess what has to happen then with video game movie tie-ins is the video game, in order for the video game to be good, the movie has to be terrible. What?
Yes. Let's move on to Green Lantern the movie. Yeah, and it was kind of interesting because I did feel like I had more fun with the video game than the movie. But let's start with your impressions. We had a chance to go see Green Lantern. We saw it in 3D.
Yeah.
And I know you were super amped for this movie. What did you feel like after it was over?
Well, this is coming from someone who reads the comic books every month. Jeff Johns, the writer of Green Lantern, one of my all-time favorite comic book writers.
On this movie.
Absolutely. He was even in it for about 2 seconds. Writes The Flash, writes Green Lantern, did an outstanding job with Superman. Everything he touches in comic book form is brilliant. And what he's done with the Green Lantern comics in the last few years has made it one of the biggest characters in the DC universe.
Yeah,
and so, hey, why not make a movie? Sure. So they did this. So I've been excited for a very long time for the Green Lantern movie to come out, and I gotta say, overall, my impressions of the film were, it was my episode 1.
Star Wars episode 1.
Yes, the Phantom Menace. Longtime Star Wars fan, and I remember the excitement of episode 1, and oh man, it's going to be the greatest movie ever. And then there were scenes like the pod racer scene, or the Duel of the Fates. You got the crazy lightsaber duels that were absolutely incredible. Yeah. But as a whole, that movie was kind of not good.
It's because both of these movies share the same flaw.
Yeah.
They tell instead of show.
Absolutely.
Phantom Menace, way too much telling of stuff that was going on.
And Jar Jar Binks.
Showing us what was... and Jar Jar Binks. Showing us what happened. No Jar Jar Binks in Green Lantern.
No Jar Jar Binks.
But they do a lot of... Like, there was a scene where you hear that they're going to put together the squadron of the best warriors in the Green Lantern Corps to go fight Parallax.
Right.
And they fly out, and you're like, oh, man, this is going to be like epic Star Wars battle moment. And like a couple things happen, and then you transition to Sinestro telling the Guardians of the Universe what happened. It's like, why did you show me this battle?
Yeah.
And how did you just happen to quickly walk away from there to get back?
That's exactly.
It's little things like that drove me crazy.
Yeah. Now, I will say, on another scale, the 3D was brilliant. It was shot in 3D, absolutely unbelievably amazing looking. So the
Best
visuals,
3D since Avatar.
absolutely, I agree 100%. Yeah. So breathtaking visuals. There were a few moments where I nerded out and just like had this crazy moment of, oh, this is epic. So there were those scenes where just breathtaking scenes with Hal Jordan, perfectly
some good
cast.
Spectacle in the movie.
Yeah,
it lacks substance.
Yeah, the cast overall great. Mark Strong as Sinestro was one of the best cast choices. He was brilliant in the 18 seconds they allowed him to have.
Nothing to do.
Yeah, and then they chose to highlight Blake Lively's character, who in my opinion was pointless. And Carol Ferris is an important part of Hal Jordan's life. She's a strong character, and Blake Lively just doesn't pull it off.
I love that her call sign in the movie was Sapphire, though.
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of a
there was
nerdy
some
little thing.
There were some cool throwbacks for the nerds, out there. There was a lot of great moments of, oh my gosh, there's Stell, or there's Salak, or there's all these great Green Lanterns from the Corps in the film for about 8 seconds, and then the entire movie was just Hal Jordan.
Yeah, and there was one character, Hector Hammond, where I think if they would have taken him out and then given more time to some other developments. Like if they would have developed the relationship between Hal Jordan and Sinestro, going from rivals to begrudging respect to uneasy friends, that would have helped a lot.
Yeah.
If they would have developed more time with Hal interacting with just the other Green Lanterns in the Corps, that would have helped a lot. If they would have given him more than 30 seconds of training time, I would have bought into it.
Exactly.
Even Luke Skywalker spent at least a week on Dagobah.
Yeah, dude, seriously, come on.
The training montage in this movie, and then Hal Jordan quickly goes, you know what, I'm no good at this. I was like, what?
Yeah.
Man, really?
You spent 8 minutes doing this and you're giving up? Wow. Thank you.
So it was writing like that, and if they would have removed Hector Hammond's whole thing, they could have developed stuff more, and it would have been a better movie. There's a good movie in here that wants to get out, and every time I saw that spark of inspiration and wow, this could be cool, they pull back for some reason, and they just blew it. They blew it. I mean, really, DC blew it. You want to establish other characters than Batman with good movies? This was not a good way to try and do that.
You know what was sad was the same day we went and saw the screener of this film, I also got the news that Russell Crowe was going to be playing Jor-El in the new Superman movie, and I was more excited about that news than the Green Lantern movie in its entirety. So,
still,
I don't know.
It brought up some interesting points, that are worth discussing, and the Green Lantern mythos does that anyway. And in this movie, I liked how they tackled one of the central character features of Hal Jordan, his ability to overcome great fear.
Right.
Deuteronomy 31:8 tells us, "Be strong and courageous, do not be afraid or terrified, for the Lord your God goes with you. He will never leave you nor forsake you." Right. That is how we overcome fear. And let's face it, we live in a scary world.
Absolutely.
There's scary stuff going on. I'm scared for my family, my kids a lot. But when I remember this, I have the ability to overcome great fear, not because of my fancy little ring, actually it's over here, but because of the God I love and serve.
Absolutely.
And so, I like that it addressed that, and that was a key part of his character, and I'm glad it was in the movie.
Yeah. The only thing I'm fearful about is having to take my family to see it again, because I have kids who really want to see that movie. So.
And the other downside of this movie, I thought there was a lot of swearing. There's no reason for it to be PG-13, but they felt hey, we got to make it a serious movie for the fans. PG-13. Let's throw in some swear words in there to make guys sound tougher and more manly, and it totally did not work, and it was completely unnecessary.
Absolutely unnecessary. It was a bummer on that front, and you're right. Emerald Knights just came out, Green Lantern on Blu-ray, their latest cartoon version.
Nathan Fillion as the voice.
Absolutely. Nathan Fillion as Hal Jordan. They told 6 stories in one. It was an 82-minute movie, and I thought that did a better job. And it was PG. So DC, come on.
Right.
Come on.
So what would you rate Green Lantern on our scale 7/7 being perfect?
I would give it a 4.
Really?
It was average. I'm still going to see it again, obviously. There were some absolutely outstanding moments. The visuals are beautiful and worth seeing it for that alone. However, it falls short. It is my episode 1. Thank you, George Lucas.
Yeah, I would actually. I wanted to give it a 4, and the more I thought about it, the more I thought about some of the flaws in the writing and how the action just wasn't directed or choreographed well. It wasn't epic like I want a comic book movie to be. I would have to give it a 3 out of 7.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, just because the more I thought about it, there's so many little flaws, and there are great moments that I enjoyed. But yeah, 3 out of 7 for Green Lantern for me, and wait for it on DVD. Yeah. So that's going to wrap up this edition of the guide. Now, we recently were able to get our hands on some 3DSs, so we are putting them through their paces, and we'll have a more in-depth look at the Nintendo 3DS, especially after all the news Nintendo announced at E3.
Yeah.
Is it going to be worth it? That's what we're going to find out. So we'll cover all of that and more next time on The Guide.